Authors Over 50, Writing in Life's Sweetest Third. Authors Over 50's weekly podcast celebrates writers and their journeys to publication. Writing after 50 is a whole story on its own, so let's skip to life's sweetest third and talk with authors about their journey from pen to publish. Welcome. I'm Julia Daly, your host, and I invite you to listen to interviews with writers who've achieved their goal of publishing a book just later in life. We've seen award lists for under 30 or under 40, but I've yet to see lists for those who've achieved a significant milestone of their own, launching a new career and publishing their first book after the age of 50. We will hear about these authors' inspirations, struggles, strategies, and the smell of that first book. These writers' journeys inspire me because I'm one of them. My guest today is an award-winning nonfiction writer and photographer living at 9,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains with her husbands and their dogs, Joy and Hope. She tells her story in words and photographs. Her husband first brought her to their little mountain village on their honeymoon in the summer of 1977. She has a master's in education and has taught about every age level from preschool to graduate school. She also has a BFA in theater and has performed in community theater as well as in a television advertisement. She writes an award-winning column for the town's newspaper, The Silver World, but most of her unscheduled days are spent reading, writing, and walking with her camera in hand. Welcome to Authors Over 50, Julie Stevens.
Thank you kindly, Julia. It's a pleasure to be here.
Julie, our opening question on Authors Over 50 is always, what took you so long to write your first book?
I wonder if I'm the first person to answer this differently. Having a book was never on my agenda. I never had a burning book to write. I've always written. I've always written nonfiction, letter writing and diaries and journals. But it wasn't until my husband, we're a good balance for each other. It wasn't until about 20 years ago when we still lived in suburbia and the university offered a course on publishing. He had this idea that do you remember the old show and tell that kids had? It had the record on top and the film strip and it told the story. Well, he wanted to take the Bible plays for children, that was his inspiration, and make it into a book. He created the props and the costumes to go with it because of my theater background. He asked for my input. And I thought, well, if he can do that, I can do that. Because I love to write. I love to write about where we live, incorporating my photographs are in all of them. So, and also I can only do so much at one time and do a good job of it. And we had 2 children to raise, and I homeschooled them for part of it. And so but it was never my ambition until my husband started that. And wow. What a journey and what a great place to be in retirement because writers don't ever have to retire.
Well, it's wonderful that he was your inspiration for that. And
Yeah.
probably you have been that for him as well, if y'all have been married as long as you have.
Yes, I like to say he's my compass, my balance, and I make his life a lot more interesting and exciting. So we balance each other out.
Well, that's a great combination. Once you wrote this manuscript, how did you proceed? Did you search for an agent, decide to choose a hybrid, a small press, or did you self-publish?
Well, because of the course that we took, we only knew about self-publishing. We had really gone by the seat of our pants with this. And him being an electrical engineer, as it's changed, that has really helped. But so we self-published our books. In the beginning, it was so exciting that people wanted to spend their money on our books. We have them for sale in the little couple of the little gift shops or the museum gift shop in town here, and of course on Amazon in the beginning. That's all we knew about, and maybe that's all there was 20 years ago. But as time's gone on, and we've learned more, and he's been able to, with his engineering skills, put us out there. So now we're wherever books are sold. And we no longer have to go through Amazon and go get the book in the basement and go to the post office and mail it. It's just all technology. And so, yeah, that's what's worked for us. I had learned, it's been such a process, I had learned more through Jane Freeman, and started to with my most recent book, Mountain Mutts, was the only, because I want to get it out in the world more. It's great that it's in Lake City where we live, and it's great that it's on Amazon, but how can I get it out in the world more? And that's been an interesting process. And I did try, I had joined other writing groups, and I did try a little bit with the going the agent way. And I even got a couple of handwritten encouraging notes, but I was also still editing, and I guess I was impatient. I love this book. I love it. It just, so I self-published it too. So that's what we did.
Well, your husband inspired you to write a book, but then how did you decide what you were going to write about?
Oh, well, it's easy since I write, or it's easy for me since I write nonfiction. My life and my photographs inspire me. And I like to be, I don't want to go too much this way, but people come up here to be refreshed and to be inspired. And I like to think that my books do that, and my readers let me know that my writing does that to them. So it makes me feel good that I am like giving something to people with my photographs and my writing. And so yeah, and the column that I write also is all a part of that.
It's about the area where you live.
Yeah. It's like this is an enigma, right? People love to come up here, Texas people, to escape the heat. How you doing in Texas with the heat, right? But they don't want to live here, and that works for us too, because that's what makes it so special, that we're such a tiny, I bet 200 people don't live up here full time. People might put it on the census because this is where their house is, but they don't live here full time. They spend a lot of the months somewhere else. And yeah, it's like, why would you want to do that, right? This was never the plan. God or the universe, somebody had a much better plan than we ever did. We just love it. It's almost hard to explain. It's like, why would you want to climb a mountain?
Because it's there.
Right, right. Because it's hard and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. I mean, it's all wrapped up in life. We've only got one life, and we got to get out of our comfort zone sometimes and go do hard stuff, and then go, wow, I did that.
Well, what about your writing routine? I know that you write a column and you've written these books. So are you a morning person, a night person? Do you write every day?
Definitely morning. In the morning is when I'm most energized, when it's most quiet, when it's most peaceful, when I usually walk first and get my coffee, but then write. I do write every day, but not necessarily on the current project. And I carry a notebook, tiny, like a school homework assignment pad with me, and I jot ideas down. Or I'm constantly, and our phones are so handy with the camera, taking pictures, and the pictures will remind me what I wanted to write about. But I've been working on this one column, and for several months, because we have life. Oh my gosh, we could have that tea and talk, Julia. We've had so much going on, as has the person I'm writing about. But we have a little movie theater up here, And I wondered, why did Phil think that was a good idea to build a movie theater up here with so few people? And it's such an interesting story to me, and he's been so patient as I've gone back and forth asking him questions. So that's been something I've been, and of course, as you know, rewriting is you write your story and then you rewrite it 1,000 times, and it gets better and better, hopefully. And I have writers groups that in fact, I told him I'm really tying this up with a pretty bow. I think we've got it together, Phil. And I have this writer group Saturday that I'm reading it for them and say, what do y'all think? You got any ideas to make it better? But yeah, it's definitely a morning person, but it does go on somewhat all the time.
Well, tell us about any specific books or seminars or writing retreats or those groups that you mentioned that you can share that have improved your writing journey.
Again, God, the universe, my husband. So my husband likes to, I think it's called great books, where you listen to the experts explain and he goes, Julie, this was about 5-6 years ago. We've never heard of Jane Freeman. He goes, Jane Freeman she's talking about publishing. And so we started listening to that. Well, that just snowballed, was the domino effect. I was like, so she mentioned Authors Guild through that. And through Authors Guild, I was not on Facebook. I am not a social media person. Through Authors Guild, they were saying you have to get on Facebook. You have to. That's part of. So I did, and again, somebody's looking out after me. I'm finding all these Facebook writers groups that and I think technology tries to help you too. I mean, I don't even know how I find some of the people I do, like you. You know, it's like buying something on Amazon. If you like this, you might like this, you might like this. So there's writers groups on Facebook that have led me to other things. The Children's Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. I was at a conference online. You're easy to talk to. This is one-on-one. I'm very shy in a large group. And even before COVID, it wasn't my cup of tea to get on a plane and go fly across the country. But COVID has been such a good excuse, as we've got these Zoom meetings to expand our horizon in our little writer's nook. And sometimes there's people from all over the world. We're in all these different time zones, and it's just fascinating. It's a lovely way to get to know people and to get to know our people who understand us. We writers are a strange group of people. I don't know, and it's just lovely. And I may try to get an agent at some point. I've got a lot of other stories and books, and sometimes these conferences will lead to that. You'll take somebody's class and you remind them, and so.
You might want to check out Carrie Barnum. She is with New Shelves Books, and
I know her.
Oh, yes. She gives a free class or answers questions every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and it's New Shelves Books, but she'll answer any questions that authors have. So she's been a good resource as well.
Yes, Carrie's the doll. Yeah. I don't know how I found her. Somebody's looking out after me, but I was like, how do you get your books in libraries? And she had the answer. So yeah, she is a wealth of information.
Well, we're talking about publicity and getting our book out there. Have you found anything that's worked for you, or maybe that you've tried that didn't work?
Well, everything I've tried works a little bit, and I think that's what it is, a bunch of little bits. So here's So again, my husband, he helped design a bookmark. So my picture book, Joy's Tale, Mountain Nuts Joy's Tale, is my favorite book. It's not my first book, but it's my favorite, partly because children. I don't think we travel quite a bit, but we travel a couple times a year. We'll take a vacation, and then our kids don't live here, so we'll go visit them. And I was taking the bookmarks to the airport and giving them out to people. And I was thinking, now how would I act as a parent if this lady came up to my child, but I make eye contact with the parent. I've been a teacher anyway. This one little girl, so we usually have to fly out. It's hard getting out of where we are, but eventually we make it to Denver on a plane and fly out of Denver. Well, people are coming from all over the world, and this little girl was from Australia, and all to say is my books have we find out that a couple of books have been sold in Australia. And her dad said, "Oh, here's my phone. Show her your dog on." So just getting out of your comfort zone, talking to people one-on-one, and then I'll share with other writer friends. I'll do this with your bookmark or your card, whatever you have. Just send it to my house or send it to the post office, and you do it with mine. So that is another way. Readings at the library, just calling and ask, and they're so receptive. They're so kind. It's hard. It's hard putting yourself out there, but I haven't found anybody that's been anything but kind and receptive. And to have children say, "I love that story," it just, yeah. So my newspaper publisher, not my newspaper publisher, but the newspaper publisher where I write my column, has been so kind to publicize my book. He said, "Put it in your Christmas stocking." People, I didn't ask him to do that. So it's just been a delightful way to meet people and find out how nice people are. And look at you, what you do to help writers. It's and I don't know how I found you. Somebody, it's all the universe writing God.
Well, it's a very generous community, and we all want to share. I've never been involved with anything like it in the corporate world where I worked, and so it's very nice to just pass on the tips and inspirations that we each have to each other. So that's been very nice in this community. And I know the libraries are a great resource. Probably in your little town, in my little town, we don't have gift shops in the libraries, but a lot of libraries do have gift shops where you can sell books, consign books with them. But they certainly have book clubs in all the genres, and that's a great way to have an author talk with them.
Yeah, they put a flyer up on the bulletin board, and people came and they let me put my bookmarks there, and the children were like, had their little hands out. "I want a bookmark with Joy's picture on it." So and the libraries bought some books, and our town is so tiny that one library has in another town, they, the same people. So I read there, even though it's a different town with different people in a physical different library, they were all connected. It's kind of like the writing community. You're like, "Well, them." I've never met them in person, but yeah.
Julie, tell us a little bit about the passage you've brought to share today, and then read from your book so we can hear your tone and voice.
Well, I'll tell you, like I tell the children, I probably don't do this like other writers. I have to have it face to me, and then let's see where my camera is. Then I'll put it so you can see the pictures, because again, this is a true story, and the photographs all came together to help inspire and pull the story together. So this is called Mountain Nuts Joy's Tale. Story and photographs by Julie A.R. Stevens. That's another thing. My name was something I was asking my writers group. I said, Julie Stevens is so, I feel like vanilla or common to put but I don't want to, Anyway, so Anne and Redikowski are my middle and my maiden name. So I put Julie A.R. Stevens recently. So there'll be all kinds of Julie Stevens or Julie A.R. Stevens. Anyway, Mountain Mutt's Joy's Tale. And this is a picture of one of the mountains where I live. And I have to close the huge window in my writing nook or close the shade because the sun is so brilliant right now. But I have the most beautiful views. I don't need to go on a writing retreat. I live in one. Once there were two friends who loved each other very much. Winter was older, spring was bigger. Winter was the leader, spring was the follower. Wherever winter went, spring followed. Spring did not remember a time when her beloved friend was not right there. When winter thought an almost empty peanut butter container was delicious, spring wanted one too. So there we have the dogs together, and truly, spring followed everything winter did. Winter and spring played frequently. When winter went down to the river, spring followed. Spring was so content, so happy to snuggle with her friend. So I wanted to show you this picture without the other one. So there they are snuggling together. It's just, and there's the river right outside and down below that I can hear with the windows open and where we go every day.
Beautiful dogs.
Then one day, winter died. Spring was sad. She felt miserable. Winter was spring's dearest friend, and winter was gone. Spring was despondent. Spring didn't have an appetite or energy to do anything. She didn't want an almost empty peanut butter container. She didn't want to play by the river. She missed snuggling with her friend. The whole house was hushed with big, sad sighs and tears. When winter died, it was a sad, sad time for the whole family. Day after day, there was no joy. After a long time, the family couldn't cry or be sad anymore. A puppy is what they needed. The puppy's name will be Joy. Yes, joy is what the family needs. This is Joy. She is a little tiny puppy with an enormous responsibility. Spring needs her. What Joy doesn't know yet is that she needs spring too. So this is Joy. And my husband named her because she did bring spring back. But I think I'll stop here and leave the listeners with wondering, what was it that spring helped Joy with? Because like friends, as they ended up being, they help each other.
They really do. We have Memphis Belle and Texas Star, and
I love
it. they have wonderful personalities. They're a lot like people, you know. They have really different personalities, and they do bring us so much joy. So that's an apt name for that little puppy.
Yes, yes.
Do you edit out of your book anything in particular when you're writing for children? Do you have to think differently than writing for adults?
Boy, that's a good question, but no. In fact, I had somebody tell me who I don't think knew diddly about children, despondent, like that's a huge word. And I said, have you read Peter Rabbit? And Peter Rabbit's kind of my inspiration, and which was also self-published originally. No, you don't dumb books down for children. Children can understand on a higher level than they can read themselves. So no, you don't change it. You might. Well, I don't write anything that wouldn't be appropriate anyway, so it doesn't.
Well, and children are living in a world that's full of very harsh realities, and I think teaching them about how sad we are when a pet dies or when a human dies. It's
Exactly.
very important about how to handle their feelings, because we do need to express our feelings.
Exactly. And children also love, I've had more adults tell me that they say, read me that true life story about the real dogs. There's something so special and unique about a story that, I mean, I like fiction too, though I do like my fiction more closer to reality than totally out there. But there's just something so special about this really happened. Yeah.
Julie, what does writing success look like to you personally?
Boy, has that been a journey. At first, it was people are buying our books. This is exciting. Um, and with my column, it started with, well, hello, having somebody say, I would like you to write for my newspaper and pay you money. And but you know what really, though, touches me? I mean, the reason I think writers write, or that we write if we wanted to get it out in the world, we don't just write for ourselves, is for the reader. And to have readers tell me that something I wrote is relatable or that really touched them, that is the best. And to have children say, "Oh, I love that story," or to have an adult tell me that they gave the book to a child in their life. You know how little children who can't read yet sort of memorize a book, and they'll have their stuffed toys all around and they're reading the book to the stuffed toy. To have my book in Australia, to have some of the books have gone to Germany, or I mean, it's mind-boggling. So it can only get better and better, right? It's gone from people are paying money for our books to all these different, so it just gets better and better. My ultimate, and I mean, who knows if I'll live to see this, but I would love to have Mountain Mutt's Joy's Tale on every child's bookshelf next to Peter Rabbit, for it to be that important in a nursery, well, it's appropriate for however young you want to read to a child, to them taking it to their babysitters, taking it to go babysit, and to read to the children that they're babysitting. Oh, and here's something exciting. Again, my brilliant husband said, why don't we just do this? Why don't we make a Spanish version? And I'm like, and how would we do that? My brilliant husband, he did it with AI. And then we went to a bilingual teacher that I met on Facebook. She used to live here in the little town where we do, but now she lives in Texas. And she went over the AI. And then the Spanish teacher here in our little school here went over what she did. And she's using it in her classroom. And fingers crossed, prayers said, she said she's going to do what's required to send the Spanish version to, with my permission, with my blessing, to Scholastics to see if they're interested in it. Now, I'm very protective about the original, and I'm not willing to give that up. But that would be awesome. How many different language books, I wonder, Scholastic has? That would bring attention to everything. So see, it just snowballs. You just kind of stand back and go, wow, just mind blowing.
Yes, you can certainly get foreign translations and have your book sold all over the world. You could do that. And another thing I was thinking about as you were reading and I was seeing the beautiful photography is that you could have a little version of Joy made, and you could sell the stuffed animal along with the book.
I've thought of that. How? How do we do that? How do we do that, Julia?
We can figure it out.
I would, and it's got to be high quality. It's got to be soft. I gave my grandchildren, each one as they had their second birthday, they got a teddy bear from Juju. and it was soft. It fit in their arms just so. So I have thought of that, but it needs to be high quality and soft. And yeah.
Well, the Jujus can figure it out because I'm Juju to my grandchildren as well.
Good. I love it. We will. We'll figure that out.
Yes. Well, as always, our last interview question is, our writers over 50 are quite unique. Do you have advice for writers 50 and above?
As I've thought about that question, it's like it's life. It's not just writers, and it's not just being 50 or above, though we have obviously less time. Do it. We only have one life. Get out of that comfort zone. It's going to be okay. It really, really is. And you'll be so happy and so proud of the results, but just do it. For writing in particular, write. If you want to write, write. If you want to write for yourself, or if you want to write to get it out into the world, the first thing you have to do is write. And I like having feedback from people I admire and respect. So you take writing classes, you meet other people, you reach out. This last one I took, I'm like, is anyone interested in a writing group? And 3 other gals did. And we write creative nonfiction. And I'm also in another group that I was able to get in from the beginning, that's larger and that has a couple of men in it. It's good to get their perspective too, who are all over the place with their writing. So when you get other people's input, it really helps your own writing. It really makes it better. So that's what I would suggest. Get in get in writers groups, get other people's feedback, and get on writers group in Facebook and hook up with Julia Daly and Carrie. There's people out there who want to get writers as help, give them as much help as they possibly can. Jane Freeman I have never emailed that lovely lady that she has not responded. They're out there just waiting to help you.
That's great advice today. And I'm excited that we're speaking Juju to Juju, and
exactly,
we're sharing our legacy in the world. One of my granddaughters chose my book as a book to read in high school and write a book report because she said not everybody's grandmothers write books. So we are leaving a legacy in this world. So I'm very proud of that, and proud you're leaving one in your mountain town and far beyond. So thank you, Julie, for being with us today, because now we can count you among our authors over 50.
Thank you kindly, Julia. You're a blessing and a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today. Please look for Authors Over 50 every Thursday, when we will have conversations with accomplished debut novelists over the age of 50. Please subscribe and share with a friend, and check out my own publication journey after 50 at www.juliadaily, that's DAILY, like dailynewspaper.com. Until next time, keep reading and writing, and remember, it's never too late to fulfill a dream in life's sweetest third.